2020. Welcome to Morning Crossfire today. There's so much excitement in my voice that I can't even pronounce the word excitement. I'm glad you're here with me this morning. Yes, we start off today. As always, Friday comes with its own flavor, with its own spice, with its own behavior, and more than ever before, we get the chance to listen in with so much good measure, and of course, contribution throughout the course of the show. All right, so it's now 5:34 a.m. Nigerian time. In a short while from now, I'll take you through the historic moments we've had in Nigeria, in the world, and in a lot of places. Also, what is the day being celebrated as? Okay, what's today being celebrated as? I'm sure you would like to know. So I'll take you through that as well for you to know what today is being celebrated as. Not missing out, of course, on the fact that we'll rise to wisdom as well. Shortly after that, wisdom, rise to wisdom as well. We get to share lots and lots of things with regards to how we can be better people, how we could surprise ourselves, how we could grow stronger, how we could be wonderful men and women that can make a difference in our society, in our lives, in our family, and in many places that we often get the chance to show forth our strength. Okay, so that'll come up on Rise to Wisdom. Newspaper review would also be part of the show before we take the news at 7. Yes, the news at 7 will be on at 7 o'clock. Yeah, that should last about 15 minutes. They'll go beyond the headlines. That is where we get opinions with regards to the news from our guest analysts, and we'll go in detail with regards to some of the stories that are therein for you to be part of. Okay, yes, after beyond the headlines, 8 o'clock, we'll take a few commercials, and yes, we'll dig down into analyzing one of the major stories today. We've had a lot of stories just this week. When I say a lot of stories, a lot of responses from different people, responses from various quarters and government officials with various news stories making the round. So, yes, we get to do that as well on the show today. What am I missing out on? Yes, okay. Then 9 o'clock comes on Sports Drive. 9:30, we'll do some commercials. It'll be more of them. And surely enough, the show will round off at 10 o'clock. All right, so that's all the lineup of all the things expected to happen today on the show like this, on Morning Crossfire. It's a delight to be here with you. I'm Femi D. Amalem. All right, let's start off with something you want to know about. The 11th day of September. Yes, 2020. Well, 11th day of September is a little bit different from other days of the year, especially when you think about the United States of America. But much of it is the fact that the 11th day of September is the 255th day now. 255th day of the year 2020. Yes, it's a leap year, so I can say 255 days gone by in the year 2020, and then you have 110 days now left before the end of the year. So those numbers often play into the gallery of the mind. But in the United States, it's different. It's a day where one can never forget. In fact, around the world, the pictures of it continue to resonate, and the mystery around this, and so much about why it happened, where it happened, who got injured, continues to be part of that. But September 11, as it's now popularly described as the 9/11, did happen in the United States of America on a day like this. That was in the year 2001. There were a series of bombings that did take place, attacks that resulted in at least 2,977 fatalities, 25,000 injuries. Yes, substantial long-term consequences. About 10 billion naira worth of 10 billion US dollars. I like to say naira now. 10 billion US dollars of infrastructure and properties were damaged in that very incident. And of course, that was the start of going to war. They start to hunt now for Osama bin Laden. Eventually, they did get him, and that's right. But before 2001, there were also interesting moments that did happen. So let's wade through some of them for you. Just going to pick up on some of those moments for you. In the year 1185, Isaac II, Anglos, kills the man you know as Stephen Christophorist, and then appeals to the people, resulting in the revolt that deposes Andronicus, okay, the first, and places Isaac on the throne. Well, men of war in 1185, they just had their way around it. In 1226, the Roman Catholic practice of public adoration of the Blessed Sacrament outside of Mass spreads from the monasteries to the parishes in the year 1126. Okay, that was just on the day like this on September 11. In 1649, there was the massacre of the Drogheda Island. Oliver Cromwell kills 3,000 royalists. Okay, that did take place in 1649 as well. And then you would also find the Battle of forces of Prince Eugene of Savoy defeats the Turks and the Ottomans' control of large parts of Central Europe now in 1697. Still following through with some other areas of interest that you may want to know on a day like this. Queen Maria Theresa addresses the Hungarian Parliament in 1741. Benjamin Franklin writes, there never was a good war or bad peace in 1773. There was that peace that was written. Okay, let's leave this men of old and push maybe a little bit into men who were not as old as they were. In the 19th century, in 1875, the first newspaper cartoon strip was done in 1875. That was of interest. Quite a number of people wanted to see what it would be like to capture the news a little bit differently. Moses Hopkins was named Minister of Liberia in 1885. Then there was Ambrose Bierce. He finishes as the editor of the WAPS magazine in 1885 as well. The Emperor of Ethiopia here in Africa, after months of pursuits, generals of Menelik II of Ethiopia captured Gaki Sherocho, the last king of Kaffa, bringing an end to that ancient kingdom. That was in Ethiopia in 1897. Gandhi coins the term Satyagraha. Okay, I don't speak Indian, so forgive me, but it sounds like something one would want to know about. In 1906 as well, first commercially successful electric bus line was opened in 1910. 1914 saw Australia invades New Britain, defeats a German contingent there in 1914. That was about the time the World War I was started off. 1922 saw British mandates of the Palestine begin. After a single, Red Sox Howard Ellix retires next to 27 Yankees in 1923. Okay, let's move over. Let's go into the mid part of the 20th century. This should be interesting. The mid part now. In 1940, Hitler begins Operation Suloe. Okay, it's called like Sea Lion. It translates to mean Sea Lion, but aborted the invasion of England somewhere along the line. Then there was in 1940 when George Stitbliss pioneers the first remote operation of a computer in 1941 as well. Still keeping up with some other stories now. Last German Q pirate ship sinks near Eastern Ireland. That was in 1943. Let's go. Juan Manuel Fangio in a Mercedes wins season's ends Italian Grand Prix at the Monza to take the third Formula One World Drivers' Championship by 17 points in 1955. Rolling Stone performs on the Ed Sullivan Show in 1966. That was good. 1966. Well, Ed Sullivan was the biggest TV show performer that year. At that time, I've come back to watch some of his shows. It was interesting. He danced, he sang, he did all kinds of things. It was just a show full of life, even though it was in black and white. If you ever get the chance, go check out what it felt like to watch television way back then, and I'm sure you find some exciting moments therein as well. The 29th Emmy Awards in 1977, the Mary Tyler Moore Show, Carol O'Connor and B. Arthur did win as well in that game. well, that was also good as well. Let me see. Oh, yes. Does anybody remember the game Atari? Atari was released on a day like this in 1977. The Atari 2600, like the Americans, my friends in the Americans would say. Oh, by the way, hello, Daniel. I see somebody saying I should say hello to you. Tata says I should say hello to you. Yes, hi. The Atari 2600, yeah, was released, originally known as Atari Video Computer System, was released in North America, that's the US. It changed the world of video game. If anybody played the Atari, you know what I'm talking about. The Atari video game was just lit. Let me go that way. It was released in 1977. In 1982, Debbie Muffetts, then in California, at the age of 25, was crowned the 55th Miss America in 1983. Okay, it was, I think, a year after that they had Miss Vanessa Williams crowned later on. Okay, so let's move on. It seems so we're getting more interesting now. Event of interest was Pete Rose of Cincinnati Reds gets career hit of 4,192 off Eric Shaw of San Diego Padres, eclipsing T.Y. Cobb's record in 1985. It sounds like baseball. Sounds like good baseball. In the world of politics, Egyptian President Hussein Mubarak receives Israeli Prime Minister Shimon Peres in 1986. Now, these men were who normally would not get along. Israel, Egypt, Israel, Egypt, Israel, Egypt. But Shimon Peres was a good statesman. He did as much as he could to put the Israelis ahead. There's so much to learn from the historic moment of Israel. I've read books about them, continue to follow a little bit of what they do, how they do what they do, and it's exciting, I must tell you, to follow through with that as well. In 1991, 14 died in a Continental Express commuter plane near Houston. That did take place in 1991 on a day like this. So we've reached September 11. I'm going to get into the part where it's a little bit daring as well. Hurricane kills 3 people and injures 8,000 on a day like this in Hawaii as well. And then in 1994, for the 6 Emmy Awards, Fraser, Picket Fences, and Clarissa Grammar did win. In 1994 also saw Andrea Agassi win US Men's Open. Now, that's one of my favorite tennis players, Andrea Agassi. Just really like the man. Really, really like the man. Okay, so moving on now. In the year 2001, 2 passengers planes hijacked by the Al-Qaeda terrorists crashed into New York World Trade Towers, causing the collapse of both and deaths of 2,606 people way back then. The story, I remember watching about this. It was a UA flight, UA flight 175 that did fly towards the south of the tower, while the north of the tower was burning. And this plane crash did take place minutes apart from the year 2001 to date. By next year, it's going to be, how many years now? Almost 20 years or thereabout. But I'm sure this continues to leave a mark, historic mark, into how people in US have come to approach security, and to how people in US also have come to bond together, because it was really a very interesting time around that same time. It was also the same year that you had on this, well, yeah, Jay-Z released his album Blueprint that had contributions of Eminem and Kanye West as well. So, well, pretty much historically, okay, yes, the state of Israel completes its unilateral disengagement from the Gaza Strip in 2005. On a day like this, 2012 saw the U.S. Consulate in Benghazi, Libya, is stormed, looted, and burned down, killing 5 people, including the U.S. ambassador. There was a movie made about this as well, and it was good to see how all that plays into a lot of those moments as well. Let me round off by talking about a large crane collapses, killing more than 100 people in Mecca, Saudi Arabia in 2015. And U.S. Open men's tennis, was won by Novak Djokovic in 2016 on a day like this. President of Catalonia, Carles Puigdemont, 1 million march on the state's National Day in Barcelona in support of the independence for Catalonia. But, well, they ended up being imprisoned. Uh, well, pretty much still in prison, I think. Hurricane Irma left 7 million US homes without power in Florida and Georgia in 2017. There was a bus crash in southern India state that did kill 53 people in 2018. Former US Secretary General Kofi Annan lies in state in Accra, Ghana, out of the state funeral in 2018. There was also the suicide bombing in Afghanistan that killed 68 and injured 165 as well. One of my favorite movies was also released on a day like this. The Green Book, or Scott, no, the Green Book is the one written by Gaddafi, but the film is called Green Book, okay, directed by Peter Farrell and starring Viggo Mortensen, and also it had Mahershala Ali in it as well. It did win Academy Awards Best Picture for 2019. If you've not seen it, please go check it out. It's a movie you'll learn so much more from. Let's leave it at that this morning with regards to history. But what would I do without leaving this? I'd like to play a song that people may appreciate. It's a song by the man known as Robert Kelly, Soldier's Heart. You all know me with this song. It has a way of stirring up the nerves in me, and it says a lot about the U.S. It says a lot about the United States of America people, their commitment towards their soldiers, and it's a song that I often love to dedicate to every true Nigerian soldier. Take a listen, and I'll be back to take you through the day of the year. Wonderful song it is, Soldier's Heart.